Hello and welcome to Castle's Corner. I'm Coach Castle, and today I'm going to be talking about tensegrity in the human body, why it matters to you, and how fascinating it is, well, at least to me, anyways. Now, biotensegrity is one of the central concepts to biomechanics, and I really don't see how you can understand the way the body works without understanding at least the basics of how tensegrity applies to you. So, Tensegrity is the yin to the yang of biomechanics, the flip side of the coin, or perhaps the base from which you produce effective movement patterns within your body. So most of you already are aware of this, you already know this, but with biomechanics, the study of it is the study of levers in the human body. You're pulling the muscles in your body, contracting, to move the levers or the bones, thus producing movement. So you could be, your arms are hanging from your rib cage or your feet are bracing on the floor. These are two kinds of forces interacting with your body. You are breathing, the in and out, your inspiration, your expiration, inhaling and exhaling. These are all accomplished through the study of biomechanics. We can kind of figure these things out. Shearing, bending, contortion, these are all combinations of tension and compression forces though. So the sum total of tensegrity in biomechanics is how you handle tension and compression in the body. So instead of simply contracting, the muscles are suspended within a complex lattice work of bones in such a way that even while they maintain the stability of the skeleton, they are also correctly lengthened between the bony structures they support. Now this allows you to maintain an upright posture and hopefully a balanced body, which will then allow you to do everything efficiently and you'll be less susceptible to injuries. We'll get into that later. Now, of course, the biomechanical aspect of human anatomy is well understood, as well it is correct. Simple lever magnification, as the laws of physics apply to all of us equally, as I have addressed in my many other videos, lectures, my books, my articles, everything. However, the traditional notion of the human body as a compression structure is a limited view. So, the body is not purely a leverage device built on Newtonian mechanics. It is also built using different mechanics. So this is where biomechanical tensegrities come into the equation. So to keep everything kind of simple for this video, humans are tension-dependent structures, and our integrity depends on the balance of the soft tissues such as fascia, the muscle, and the tendons all working together, supporting your skeleton. It is this balance of the soft tissues that holds the skeleton upright, like literally upright in the air, otherwise it would just be a bundle of bones on the ground, not the other way around. So the skeleton doesn't support the muscles and fascia and tendons and ligaments, they suspend your bones into the shape at which they are. Now I know this might be kind of a new concept to you, but as far-fetched as it may seem, the skeleton is a series of floating bones, and they just kind of sit there within all of this sea of soft tissue. Now, this particular form of engineering is referred to as tensegrity, which is a combination of the words tension and integrity, in case you didn't get that already. Now, a really simple example of tensegrity is the structure of this little child's toy I have here. I think you guys can probably see this. Now, new biotensegrity is a concept of potential balance in the human body. And what this simple toy represents is an actual complex balance of tension across multiple fixed structures. So, just for the sake of this discussion, let's just pretend that these wood sticks are going to represent bones in your body, and these elastic cords are going to represent the muscles, the tendons, the ligaments. Now, when you have tensional balance or biotensegrity, these sticks or bones will actually be floating in space. They're not directly touching one another. Now, this is because the lines of tension which connect the sticks keep them there. Again, the muscles. Now, what's interesting about this is typically, if you were to think of muscles all contracting or pulling in, you would visualize something like a very dense collapsed rubber band ball, perhaps filled with sticks. However, in the human body, your muscles, just like in this tensegrity toy, When tension is balanced properly, it creates not only compressive resistance, but it also fortifies it, and it makes the structure stronger. Now, comes right back to shape. Now, the bones in your body, or in this case, the wood pegs, are of course always resisting the compressive structure. However, none of the bones or compression members actually touch each other at all. These compressional shapes are held together by tension, or in the case of the human body, biotensegrity. Again, all of your muscles and fascia working together, meaning that your bones are floating inside of your body, and when put under compression, the whole structure gets stronger and more dense, more like a structure. Now, of course, if you were to relax tension, you would have better movement and flexibility, as well as adaptability. Now, what this translates to in terms of injuries and exercise is that at the extreme end of the motion is where you are most likely to receive the injury. So, tensegrity structures are the only structures that if you expand them in one direction, they expand in all directions. And this is what you see in people when you see them starting to expand in one direction. They expand in all directions. Like when you take a deep breath, which means an expansion of the joints as well as an expansion of the functionality of the muscles to move them. Now, it is really important to understand, though, that your body is a stress distribution machine, and that your body communicates from one place to another place, which could be on the opposite end of your body. Okay? So a simple example would be, just let's say that you're attempting to jump a swimming pool or a river. And on the first attempt, you have no difficulty in jumping across the gap and landing with both feet planted. No trouble, all excited, you're flushed with your success. Therefore, tell your friend, hey, record me. I'm going to go ahead and do this again. It looks really cool. Let me post it on Instagram. However, you're not as focused on the second pass, and when you go to jump, you miscalculate, and your left foot lands on a stick on the other side of the pool. Okay? This will then collapse your foot inward, producing an ankle sprain, and this is because all the force was concentrated in that one localized area. So this is how we get injuries, is when the structure doesn't absorb it as a whole, but when it takes it in one spot. And this is because the human body is designed to take strain as a complete system. Generally, however, people don't think that way. We think Achilles tendon, gastrocnemius, the ligaments, but it is a system as a whole that determines the integrity of the whole. So, even with this toy, if I was to remove a single one of the sticks from the structure, the entire structure would collapse in on itself and be unable to support itself. So, I mean, another really cool example I have for you guys is this. So this is called a floating table, I hope you can see. But these aren't rods, these are cables actually. And so even, it supports a lot of weight, by the way. I mean, I can put up to about 100 pounds on here, I think. But it's pretty cool because even if I take a single one of these out, the whole thing just collapses because I removed one cable. So I mean, these kinds of things I think are quite fascinating. But just like with muscles, if you pre-shorten a muscle, you would create only a minor impairment. However, it would deform your entire structure. So this is the thing to understand about tensegrity, is that once again, while an injury can be local, it will impact the entire body structure. No matter how small an imbalance in the body, the rest of the structure will respond to that imbalance, and it will imbalance the whole body. Now, what's important to understand when dealing with tensegrity in terms of like flexibility and mobility is understanding that flexibility training is needed to stretch the muscles to make them longer. However, if you overstretch your muscles, it affects not just the muscle group that you're stretching, but your body as a whole. And you will experience additional wear and tear at synergistic points on your body. Now, conversely, overtraining can be seen as your muscles getting too short or too tight. Now, so basically, when you have an excess tension in the muscle, that actually pulls the bones together towards the point of impact. And again, moving with too much tension in the muscle will produce wear and tear, as well as the degeneration of the system as a whole. Now again, just a reminder, this is because your body functions as an entire unit. And what affects one point will affect another. I mean, I could give you lots of examples of simple things like shoes and wallets and high heels screwing up people's spines. But, the thing is, as humans, we're used to something that's known as a continuous compressive structure. So think like buildings, mountains, skyscrapers. Think about how you build a castle. So it's kind of like this brick sits on top of this brick, sits on top of this bricks. This makes a wall. Now, put a couple of these walls in. They act as supports for the ceiling, allowing for additional floors. Now, of course, the bottom brick must be strong enough to handle the compressional forces of everything above it, or else the whole castle would collapse. So, this is why with compressive structures like castles, historically, they've been built on bedrock, or also known as like granite, large granite slabs. Now, granite has an extremely high compressive resistance force. Out of all of the rocks, granite has the highest degree of compressive strength. Now, that very same granite that gets used as the base to create the castles and that like New York City sits on and stuff, and the bricks that the castle is made of, this is what these things were made out of for centuries, and they're still here. I mean, even the pyramids, these things. But again, there's some minor exceptions depending on locations, but generally speaking, these kinds of buildings must have high-strength compressive building materials. This is why large cities, castles, skyscrapers, etc. have been built on bedrock with high compressive materials. But like with granite, though, I mean, if you were to just to hook it up to two machines and try to pull it apart, that actually would not require much force. You'd be able to split the granite pretty easily. And this is because it's only strong against compressive forces, not against pulling forces. So basically, that means granite is not well equipped to deal with tensional forces like our body is the Tensegrity machine. So now, these kind of compressive structures, which we're accustomed to seeing, again, buildings and such, are all continuous compressive structures. One brick, beam, or whatever sits on top of another, etc. Even something like the Empire State Building is nothing more than a compressive structure from the very ground floor all the way up to the top. It's compressive forces which hold it upright. And while it does have flexibility, that's just from the building materials it's not made from. So, for a very long time, of course, this is how we believe that the body was made. So, when you see a skeleton, you'll see the skull resting on the atlas vertebrae, for example, which is then going to be on the axis vertebrae, and then the C3, all the way down your spine until you hit your pelvis. And then you got your pelvis that sits on your legs, your legs, etc., sit on your feet. You get the idea. So again, this is a traditional idea of a continuous compressive structure. Now, even going back as far as Leonardo da Vinci, we had a limited understanding of biomechanics, but we did understand that the muscles contract and move the body and move the individual bones, thus allowing for the movement. I mean, basically moving the stable skeleton around in various movements, that basic understanding of biomechanics was around. But the thing is, what complicates this is that in order to perform all of these actual movements with these levers, to move through space, to move an arm, to do anything, to keep ourselves upright in the field of gravity basically while performing movements, you have to maintain a correct, upright, postural supported position. Now, most of us know about the postural muscles that keep us upright, the deeper muscles of the neck, back, spine, legs, the erector spinae, all these things. By contracting these muscles, our head remains upright, our spine is neutral, our body's in an upright position, etc. But how do these postural muscles work? So, pretty simple. Whenever you lift a weight up, the muscles in your forearm, your arm, your shoulder, everything contracts. Moving the levers of their arm, holding the weight, lifting the weight. Even doing it with a lot of force, that's fine. No worries, perfectly acceptable strategy. And this is due to the fact that you're not going to have to hold the weight for a long time. You're probably performing a set number of reps or repetitions, etc. If your arm or your shoulder fatigues, you simply stop the movement, you switch arms, you go to a different movement, whatever it may be. You take a break, but maintaining postural support of the body is very different. So to support the entire body within the gravitational field, muscles have to be able to support the trunk for hours and hours and hours at a time. Even while you're sitting, you're still supporting yourself upright. Now, trying to do this by simply contracting the muscles would, of course, lead to exhaustion and dysfunction and imbalances everywhere. So, where does the tensegrity come into the postural equation? Well, it's basically everything, actually. The answer is that the muscles do not simply contract, but as already previously addressed, they work in a dynamic partnership with the bones. So, the muscles on the nape of your neck, for example, they got to maintain support of your head, which would otherwise fall forward. But they don't perform this function simply by contracting and pulling the head back, which would basically cause the head to constantly be pulled back and fixed in place, which obviously would cause imbalances and dysfunction, all these things. So instead, the body's very smart, so well, evolution. The head is weighted in the front, so it exerts an opposing force on the neck muscles, keeping them the proper length. Now the neck muscles can pull on the head, but instead of forcibly contracting and pulling it back, they're simply stretched the appropriate distance between the skull and the spine, acting as a counterbalance point to the fact that basically the face weighs more. It's not technically right, but kind of. But now in this way, the muscles basically maintain an elastic and healthy length, translating to a healthy body and just being healthy overall with no aches or pain. Another simple explanation is the spine. Of course, muscles attach to and pull on the spine. Now, but if this was all that they did, the spine would not be able to maintain its length and support against gravity. It would instead be curling forward or backwards because of your flexors or your extensors. But of course, you're not always doing that. This is not what happens. In most cases with people, instead of muscles being lengthened between the vertebrae attachments and ribs, kind of contracting forcibly, what happens is just like with the skull, they just sit the appropriate length and everything stays in the proper structure just like these. Now this arrangement explains how muscles act on bones in a basic way of supporting the skeleton through tensegrity. In order to produce force, muscles must contract, something we'd all do all day when we're breathing, moving, or doing any movement whatsoever. But to maintain basic postural support, however, muscles must be lengthened between the bony structures that they attach to, and they have to be the correct length, so that even as they act on the bones, they are also being lengthened between the bones in a very subtle and dynamic arrangement. Again, even this extremely simple child's toy is actually very complex in the actual distribution of forces interplaying here. But this is how muscles and bones work together to produce support against gravity. Now, of course, some variation of this relationship exists in every part of the musculoskeletal system. And quite frequently, people will be like stretching muscle groups, going to see a chiropractor, going to get a deep tissue massage, whatever, due to some form of these imbalances. However, they're not realizing that all they're doing is putting like a 1 or 2, 3-day band-aid on the issue, and in some cases, they're actually making it a lot worse. Now, in regards to having a healthy, highly functioning body, those kinds of things won't work. You must make sure that the length of your muscle tendons and the spacing between your bones is ideal permanently, which obviously takes time and consistent effort and mindfulness. This makes your overall body structure significantly more efficient and allows for greater ease of movement as well as improved health and performance in all areas. Now, the problems of the human body typically will be addressed and evaluated by somebody who is looking for overused areas of the body. The problem is they typically find the overused areas of the body first and very easily, and that is all they're told to look for and correct. It's very easy to spot a location, a muscle group, a tendon, a node, something which is overused because they're tight, they hurt, and they create imbalances which are very noticeable and very visible. However, what is lacking, it is just as important to understand that the underused muscle groups or over-lengthened muscle groups and tendons will typically avoid this detection, even though they are 9 times out of 10 the root cause of your problem. Wearing a particular style of shoe which elevate the heel above your toes will cause an imbalance in your walking gait, resulting in a shortening of your muscles and tendons over time. which will, of course, create a cascade of effects, a chain reaction that travels up your pelvis and spine, even affecting your neck muscles. And guess what? It's going to be very painful. It's going to be a lifelong problem until you correct it. Having a big fat wallet and sitting at an angle all day is going to do horrible things to your spine, but your doctor's never going to say, hey, look at your wallet. Now, this is the thing. After experiencing all of these things that people experience, oh, my shoulders hurt, my neck hurts, my lower back hurts, experiencing upper trapezius pain, lower back pain, everything. The average person will be told to go get a massage, apply a cream of some form, perhaps acupuncture treatment, a chiropractor, sleep a particular way. But of course, none of these will help correct the root cause of the problem. Just a Band-Aid is all you're doing. You're wasting your money and you're wasting your time. Here's the thing. Now that you have this information, you know to be more mindful of your body's posture, as well as more aware of your fashion style, the way you use your chairs, the way you sit in your car, your overall body posture, anything else you can think of that might affect you. In case you didn't know, your health is more important than the shoes you wear, or that particular squishy armchair you like to sit in that destroys your back, or your ridiculous inclined seat in your car, any of these things. Your health is more important than that. Being mindful of your body's natural structure, keeping it resilient and strong, developing an anti-fragile mindset, as well as furthering to develop yourself, will keep you healthy and energetic, and of course repair you and keep you in the prime of your life for as long as possible. Having a well-formed, efficiently moving body translates to efficiency in all actions, everything from exercising in the gym, rolling jiu-jitsu, running outside, cardio, walking, picking up the groceries, the tasks at your job. Better posture, better breathing patterns will result in an increase in performance, a stronger, more robust athletic structure which will bounce back from injuries more rapidly, as well as aiding in injury prevention, sleeping better, improving the quality of your mood. It's a big list. I could keep going, guys. Just take the time to learn. I say it all the time, knowledge is power, but nobody can do the work except for you. You can have all the knowledge in the world. It doesn't mean shit if you don't apply it. You all have my full support. Drop your ego. Learn more about this. Learn how to correct your posture. I have many videos about posture correction, breathing correction, biomechanics. I got well over 500 videos, guys. If you haven't already, the little button on the bottom, my little icon, my picture, click on that. It's going to take you to my channel. You can see all of my videos, all of my playlist stuff you definitely haven't seen before because it's old. Just because it's old doesn't mean it's not good. If you haven't already, guys, check out my Etsy store. I got 3 different books there. All of them have to do with biomechanics and correcting your life. I got workout plans. I got exercise planners. Everything I have on there, guys, is the best, the very best you can have. It is the actual science. It is simplified so a child could understand it. And guess what? It's cheap as dirt. Not only that, when you buy these things, you help support me and you help support the channel. All the money you guys give to me with these $1, $2, $5 purchases, those go directly into my research and my certifications and everything else that I'm doing. So I can better assist you guys. And of course, anybody who would actually like to be coached intelligently, 1-hour call with me, it's $40. Think about it, 2 times a week. You can get the perfect plan and a full education for 1 month, maybe 2 months. If you're very, very serious, we should keep working together to get you where you want to go. But again, email me. All my links are down below. Check it out, guys. And you guys in the comments, please let me know if you find Tensegrity as fascinating as I do, and if you've ever heard of it before. And please, again, do your own research. I find this stuff to be particularly fascinating, and I hope you guys too. Everybody, stay on your grind, stay hard, and do the damn work.